Thank you guys. Thank y'all. Hopefully the applause brought people like back. Hopefully they heard it and we're like, oh, somebody's talking. All right. So, if you're coming in, please join us. I know there's some really great demos going on out there. We have a great demo team. They're doing their thing. So if you would like to see a demo and you didn't know that there were demo booths, please go see a demo. Not now, after this talk. But welcome back, everyone. Hopefully you were able to talk and network with your peers and other locals, share some war stories, some insights, some takeaways. Again, my name is Chad, and I'm back on stage this time to share with you some of our latest product developments and directions. So before we get started with what's new and what's coming, let's just take a step back for some of you who may not know the depth of Dataiku. So let's take a quick look. Dataiku is the universal AI platform. So what exactly does that mean, universal? So first, we mean universal with people. Dataiku is a platform that isn't just for coders. It isn't just a code-free tool. It's for everyone, from data scientists or data or ML engineers to business analysts and domain experts. From AI builders to AI consumers, Dataiku meets users where they are. And having everyone in one place is really what is so powerful about Dataiku. We also mean universal when it comes to data. So Dataiku supports data of any type, wherever it's stored, whether it's on-prem, in the cloud, in files, spreadsheets, CRMs, wherever you have it, we can meet you there. So Dataiku works with data wherever it resides. Next is governance. Dataiku introduces governance across the entire AI lifecycle by design, and that's really our signature. Our signature visual flow is what we call it. That's how you work in your data science projects. And this allows you to see exactly where the data is coming from, how it's being transformed, and how it's being used for machine learning or generative AI technology. In addition, we also offer Dataiku Govern, which we'll see a little later, and that allows you to manage your entire AI portfolio against regulatory objectives and AI governance principles. And lastly, the universal AI platform is about your technology. At Dataiku, we like to call ourselves aggressively agnostic, and this has always been our philosophy. Because we know that the best and hottest technology of today will not be the best of the best tomorrow. And our customers need to be able to switch technology with ease while keeping the same interface and interaction for the people that are actually working with the data. So I'll never forget one of our customers said they had been Dataiku customers for about 6 or 7 years, and they switched infrastructures 3 or 4 times, but the experience for their users had always stayed the same. So that's a brief introduction to Dataiku and what we're about. And for all those in the audience who are not really familiar with us, that is your quick introduction. Now let's dive into some of the cutting-edge things that we're doing today for our customers. So right now, we're focused on accelerating AI trajectories of our customers in 3 key ways. First, we're allowing them to build enterprise-grade generative AI. This means doing it quickly, but also doing it safely. And we'll look at a few specific things that we're doing in just a moment. At the same time, we're allowing our customers to democratize and accelerate across their business. Not just Gen AI, but all types of analytics, traditional machine learning, data work, whatever you want to call it. And finally, we're ensuring that our customers have the comprehensive ops frameworks and AI governance systems in place to build and maintain products at scale. So first things first, generative AI. What role does it play in Dataiku? So first, let's take a step back and think about building a generative AI application in the enterprise and what it actually looks like. So first, we have a slew of LLM providers, models, AI services, you name it, to choose from. Using one or more of these, you have to then leverage tools, prompting, potentially build knowledge bases to leverage your own data, and altogether, either expose some application to end users in some sort of dedicated web application like a chatbot, or embed this application in an existing tool to expose it to those end users. From there, this process and this application needs to be integrated into your larger operationalization system, right? We want to ensure that the quality is always good, that it's always being governed, that it's always being maintained over time, etc. So in a nutshell, it's relatively straightforward, right? Building one or two applications is pretty easy, but once we start to build 20, 50, 100, 200 applications, it can get messy extremely quickly. And this is a familiar story. It's always been the same challenge with all sorts of data science projects. So at Dataiku, we do believe that enterprises will be building not one or two, but potentially hundreds of these applications. And that's why from the start, we're thinking about scale and how we can provide comprehensive Gen AI capabilities. So how are we doing this? So let's start at the very bottom. We heard about the LLM mesh architecture paradigm previously, and this is the Dataiku LLM mesh. We built the LLM mesh to enable choice among a growing number of generative AI services and models. As you heard earlier, the Dataiku mesh acts as a secure API gateway to break down hard-coded dependencies, managing and routing requests between applications and underlying services. For secure access of thousands of LLMs, we partner with leading providers of hosted LLM services, as well as Hugging Face to access open source models. The LLM mesh also handles access to vector databases and accelerated and containerized compute that allows you to self-host and service local LLMs easily and efficiently if that's your choice. The LLM mesh is really the core of our comprehensive Gen AI offering. But of course, a secure gateway for LLMs, it only really makes sense if we're able to build Gen AI use cases on top of them. So with Dataiku, you have tools that are required for builders to build Gen AI applications and bring them to life quickly with code or without code. From LLM-powered recipes for a common task like sentiment analysis to Dataiku Prompt Studios, where you can iteratively design and evaluate prompts, to Dataiku Answers, a pre-built chat front end that I'll talk more about in just a moment. Dataiku provides Gen AI builders with everything they need to create Gen AI applications at scale. And man, you might be thinking, this is really good. I love this. But I don't necessarily want everyone in my organization going in and building their own Gen AI application. And to be fair, you're right. And that's why Dataiku has what we call LLM Guard Services. So LLM Guard Services is a layer that reduces overall risk around cost, potential safety concerns, and quality. I won't go into too much detail because I will get into those slides in just a moment, but the final layer is generative AI governance. I mentioned it before, but Dataiku offers robust capabilities to ensure that you're able to keep pace not only with regulatory requirements, but also with the governance standards of your organization. And again, we'll dive into governance in the third section. So that's an overview of our comprehensive Gen AI capabilities and offerings, covering everything from secure connection to models and services to tools for builders, as well as guardrails and governance. Let's dive into a couple of these components that I just mentioned. So first, let's start with Dataiku Guard Services, which is a suite of capabilities available today that we're continuously adding functionality to. So Cost Guard allows you to drill down into per user, per business, per application, or LLM provider cost for a granular breakdown of that cost. The fully auditable log of who is using which model or service and for what purpose also allows for cost tracking, defining budgets, monitoring spending, and very importantly, internal rebilling, which was a huge ask from many of our customers. In the future, we plan to add budget-based constraints and cost guardrails as well. The LLM mesh via Dataiku Safeguard can evaluate requests and responses for sensitive information, whether that's personally identifiable information like PII, toxic content, forbidden terms. It can then take the appropriate action, whether that's redacting the sensitive information before sending the request to the LLM API, blocking the request entirely, or alerting an admin. Furthermore, Safeguard protects against malicious acts and abuse, such as detecting prompt injection or jailbreak attempts that aim to manipulate an LLM's behavior to produce an unauthorized output or violate its intended purpose. And finally, we have Quality Guard. Quality Guard is a standardized enterprise-grade quality assurance for LLMs and GenAI applications. For LLM evaluation, both during the experimentation phase as well as for ongoing health monitoring, Quality Guard helps you automatically compute standard evaluation metrics using LLM as a judge techniques like answer relevancy, answer correctness, and context precision, as well as statistical techniques like BERT, Rogue, and BLUE. In addition to standard quality metrics, Quality Guard also introduces the ability to do code-free LLM fine-tuning, which is another way to improve the quality of your applications. And again, as a reminder, all of these features are available via the LLM Guard services, which is available today as an add-on to the Dataiku LLM mesh. Now, let's move away from Guard services for a moment and talk about one of the builder tools that I mentioned previously. And this is Dataiku Answers. So we all know front-end developers and app designers have been always scarce. And in a world where chatbots have become the new normal, Dataiku Answers helps teams get more Q&A apps deployed in a fraction of the time, with plug-and-play components and a pre-built front end. Connect Dataiku Answers to your choice of LLM, vector store and database, knowledge bank in a matter of a few clicks. Not only can you ask questions of internal text documents, but you can also chat with data sets in a conversational way that we've never seen before. Thinking about transparency and governance also, Dataiku Answers embeds quotes, source citations, and metadata in answers for more confidence and trust in accurate responses. The web app is customizable and highly configurable out of the box. And you can set it up to provide details with detailed example prompts and tailored responses for individual user profiles. Choose the language that you want to converse with the chatbot in, and define the look and feel. It's fully auditable as well, so you can monitor all the conversations and capture user feedback. And we've had almost 100 customers already implement Dataiku Answers to get up and running with conversational QA. And also, we have a dozen customers that are already using it to deliver production-ready chat-based apps that collectively serve thousands of end users. So as a small preview into a feature that's coming very soon, and as part of that governance layer that I had talked about previously, we introduced the Dataiku LLM registry. We designed this feature first and foremost for CIOs, legal, risk teams, so that they can keep their model documentation up to date, as well as rationalize which models should or should not be used for what use cases. So the idea is, with tens and hundreds of use cases leveraging a multi-LLM strategy, Dataiku centralizes the information regarding cost, performance, acceptable use of models for teams, and so on and so forth, so that these data teams can actually weigh the trade-offs and the leaders can enforce oversight on model usage. All right, so let's move on and talk about democratization and acceleration of data activities in the enterprise. Again, here we're talking about speeding up data workers across all activities and empowering more people across the business to use data for their work. And you guys already know this is something that Dataiku has been working for the longest time. This is our bread and butter. From robust AutoML to explainability features to code-free data transformation, we've built in democratization and acceleration from the beginning. Even hardcore data scientists like to use our visual features because it allows them to move much quicker than if they were going to do it traditionally. So let's dive into a couple ways that we are enhancing democratization and acceleration currently. The first thing is through productivity assistance. That's right, we're using Gen AI within Dataiku to provide an array of assistants to help people from coders to business users be more efficient and productive. The first and really the most popular one is AI-enhanced data preparation. So now in Dataiku, all you have to do is type in your data transformation steps in natural language and watch it work, lowering the barrier of entry for people to prepare and transform data in their projects. Similarly, for coders, we've rolled out code assistants in both code studios and notebooks. And finally, to help communicate with our stakeholders, we've introduced flow documentation and explanation, which automatically details what data is being used, how it's being transformed and processed within the flow. And we know that documentation is not a fun task. And oftentimes, because of that, it doesn't get done. So we know that documentation is a big part of the data science lifecycle, collaboration, communication, and governance, and that's why Dataiku wants to help you with that. So in addition to our basic productivity assistance, Valentina and Darren showed this off earlier, I'm excited to share with you a new offering called Dataiku Stories, which a select group of customers is already testing, and that will be released to a wider audience this year. So taking a step back, let's really face it. Nobody likes slide presentations, but they're still the primary way that we get data insights to the business. Now, the issue with slide presentations are they're instantly outdated after they're sent. They're filled with screenshots, sourced from various tools, and often they're built on less than trusted data sources. In a world where data is constantly changing, quickly, day by day, hour by hour, thousands of decisions are being made across your company, and your slides are still static. Doesn't make sense. So with Dataiku Stories, users leverage simple prompts to create dynamic presentations with generative AI in seconds, turning trusted data into powerful decision-making insights, all with trusted data sources from the universal AI platform in Dataiku. So we touched on it briefly in the Gen AI section, but let's talk a little bit more about how Dataiku is bringing comprehensive XOps as well as AI governance readiness to our customers and deep dive into that offering. So let's start with a simple definition. What is XOps anyway? For us, it's about bringing any kind of data product to production and maintaining it through its life cycle, whether it's traditional machine learning, Gen AI, or simple automation of data pipelines. It's about addressing the needs of stakeholders in the process, removing friction to automate and simplify, and turning arduous processes into repeatable approaches. For those who have not been paying close attention, we've been steadily rounding out our XOps vision and our offering in the last several product releases. We've been focusing on 3 capabilities in particular. Down in the bottom left, we have external models. We recognize that our companies often build models in different places and using different tools and may have models running somewhere else. And Dataiku external models is a way to surface and evaluate those models in third parties using Dataiku, so that we can take already deployed models, connect them to Dataiku from Amazon SageMaker, Azure Machine Learning, Google Vertex AI, and Databricks. We also recognize, in the top right-hand corner, we also recognize that our users want to be able to deploy anywhere, even outside of Dataiku. And we allow that in Dataiku. This reinforces the democratization that we talked about earlier, because it especially lowers the barrier of entry for those technical personas, like data and business analysts. They can now build ML models and deploy them to already established infrastructures, taking stress off those machine learning engineering teams. And finally, we've been focused on unified monitoring up at the top. So let's face it, ops people are getting lost because they have multiple models or projects running in different platforms, and they want to be able to make sure everything stays under control. And Dataiku Unified Monitoring provides out-of-the-box dashboards, allowing you to monitor the health and status of Dataiku projects via Dataiku endpoints and other endpoints not managed in Dataiku. So even with models or projects deployed in different places, the governance of those projects can still happen in one place, which is Dataiku. And we believe at Dataiku, and we've always believed, in embracing the ecosystem and our larger role in it. And this is a good illustration of our vision for XOps as part of the larger ecosystem. I mentioned AI governance in the context of unified monitoring, as well as in the Gen AI section. So it's a reoccurring theme, but we haven't really dived too much into it. So let's take a moment to do that. In addition to Dataiku itself and the way it's designed for being friendly to governance, we also have an offering called Dataiku Govern that specifically allows for management of your AI platform from regulatory objectives or obligations, as well as your own internal AI governance principles. This includes, in particular, our EU AI Act readiness solution, and I will insist on the readiness naming because it indeed does not guarantee compliance, but rather that your organization is ready for that EU AI Act. So our team has done a lot of work to fully build out this template and make sure that it maps directly to the EU AI Act risk tiers in a much more straightforward way. And the team is continuing to refine it and perfect the solution. So once the solution is available today, but once the Act continues to grow and build, this template will also grow and build. So this is very important for teams working in a EU as well as multinational companies for years to come. So that's it for this product presentation. You've got a good glimpse of the things we're working on and have been focused on over the last several months and our vision forward to be the universal AI platform. We talked about generative AI, of course, and our offerings that will help bring more people into the fold to create and leverage this powerful technology. We also talked about optionality and how it's important and how the Dataiku LLM mesh is bringing that to life and hitting on almost all the pillars here. So we also talked about democratization and acceleration again, and this has always been important for Dataiku, as you know, and we're continuing to double down on bringing everyone into one platform with assistance and Dataiku stories, which we are extremely excited about. And finally, we dug into XOps and more deeply into AI governance and how it's the increasingly critical thing as regulations and legislation comes from around the world. So with that being said, my name is Chad Coven. I'll be around if you have any questions, and thank you so much.